Yeah, I'm really happy with how I played. Last time I played her, we had a longer match, split sets. So today I was really trying to take advantage of when I was in the lead and continuing to be aggressive. And I'm happy I was able to get in straight sets, not a long match like the 3 hours last match. So saved myself some time today.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Brian.
Brian Lewis, New York Post. I'm curious, was your aggression level, I mean, is that one of the things, I guess, that you learned from that 3-set match, that you had to attack and put her on the back foot?
Yeah, I learned a lot from that match. Also, it's two completely different opponents. The way Laura played, it made it very hard to be very aggressive. She's hitting slices that are bouncing really low. And I think, on TV, it looks like, when the slice comes, it looks slow. But, when you're actually playing, the ball's really low. So it's not as easy to be as aggressive as you want. And she was also coming in a lot, which I honestly didn't plan for that. So I didn't find my game plan until the last 2 sets, and that showed I was playing better. And then today, honestly, it was tough to be aggressive too on Mirra because she can rip some backhands down the line and everything. But I think I was just trying my best to get her to the corners and not letting her control the court.
Andrew.
Andrew Jones, ESPN Instate. Coco, congrats on the wins today. Novak Djokovic is playing now, and you put on a Djokovic-like performance today against a really top player, and how you had to deal with her Roland Garros, and she played at a real high level, and yet you still routined her. You talk about how comfortable you've gotten sliding on this surface, and when did you start feeling that you were comfortable being able to slide, particularly on the backhand side?
Yeah, it's not something I think about, to be honest. Maybe something that I don't know if I've done it my whole life. It's not something that I've tried to work on or learn, so it came naturally. So I'm assuming it's something that I just learned as a kid. I do know when I was learning how to play on red clay when I was super young in Europe in Mirra Academy, they were teaching me how to slide on clay, but not necessarily on hard. And I don't, it's something that I think is a last resort on hard court that you can use. I don't think sliding is the best thing all the time, but it definitely helps you a lot when you're getting to those balls where you probably don't have enough time to do that extra step. Somebody who I look up to a lot movement-wise is definitely Novak and definitely Carlos. I think, they're both people that are seeding their field when it comes to, well, obviously the tennis, but obviously physically and speed and footwork-wise. And, it's something that I'm trying to work on. I do think I have the athleticism as them, not like the same as them, but compared to my field. So I'm hoping that I can continue to learn and by watching them. I was watching Alcaraz last night.
Real quick, you hit the Millie Rock dance when you won in D.C., and this is home of Millie Rock, at least in Brooklyn. Is that your favorite dance to do of the many dances right now, or?
I don't know why I did that. I just was like walking back, and I was like, I don't know. I want to do something funny, so I decided to do that. And then when I won in Cincinnati, I was like trying to think of another dance to do, but like all the other ones just seemed so outdated. I was going to pull out and whip a nene, like no. So the Millie came again. So hopefully if I win here, I'll definitely pull it out again.
Okay. Go Howard, Willie, Brian. Howard?
Howard Fenrich for the AP. You talked in D.C. about the old playbook against you. I'm wondering, during this stretch, have you found opponents not doing that and adjusting the way they face you in general? Have you seen that, I guess? And today, though, did it feel like she was going to the old playbook?
Yeah, she probably watched the match back that we played in French Open, or her team did at least. And yeah, in that match, and it was also a different surface, so I was using the high heavy a little bit more so than I was today. But yeah, things have improved, that's for sure. And I think that the way opponents are playing me, some play me different, some don't, and so honestly, it just depends on the day. I still have to improve a lot on both wings, to be honest. So, yeah, but I definitely think that, I've noticed that sometimes people do get frustrated with their team when, like, that happens. You'll see sometimes, like, back and forth. I don't know if they pick it up on camera, but, yeah, it's definitely something that I've improved on, and I think that's just part of learning. I recognized that it was a weakness, and I try my best to improve it, and I still need to improve it. So, yeah.
If I could just follow up on the back and forth, you mean like as you're having success with your forehand in a match?
Yeah.
And you'll see them talk to their...
I don't know if that's the discussion that's going on, but when it is frustrating sometimes. Like I was doing it with my team against Laura. She didn't play the way that they had prepared me for, and yeah, so it's frustrating. But that's when you have to play your B plan, and that's why I had a feeling she was going to play the way that she played me, but she didn't play that way in qualies. So yeah, it just goes about how you adapt in the matches. Obviously, you can have a scouting report, but like I said, anything player can show up and play completely different how they've played other players, and that's what happened in my previous round. Today, I would say not so much.
Okay. Willie.
Willie Weinbaum from ESPN. A moment ago, you spoke of looking up to Novak and Carlos. How much have you seen them play this year, and what are your thoughts on their level of play and their rivalry?
Yeah, I saw the French Open match and I saw the Wimbledon final. I did not see the whole Cincinnati final because I was flying home that same time as the final. So I missed the match live. I saw, the bits and pieces from it, but I didn't see the whole thing. I can't remember when they played again, but I saw most of their matchups. And obviously I watched them a lot when they're playing other people. And the thing I think I've learned the most is how they're able to handle the situations when they're not playing their best tennis. For example, Carlos in Cincinnati, he was losing a set every match pretty much, and he wasn't playing his best. That was clear. But I don't know, the way that he was still smiling, for me, that against Hubie Hurkacz, and he was down like a set and a break or something like that. I don't know. He was down crazy or down match points, and like he was still smiling. And I was like, okay, I need, if he can smile and he's number one in the world and he has all this pressure, he's supposed to beat Hubie, I guess, on paper, then I can do it in situations maybe where I'm most of the time now I'm not the underdog, but against, for example, like Ego or Sabalenka, those where I'm considered the underdog on paper, I can smile too. So I think I learned the most about their joy in matches and how I can transfer that, because I have a lot of joy in me, but I just seem to bottle it up when I play, and now I'm really just having fun and laughing and smiling, and I think it's making tennis more enjoyable.
One follow-up. What's the experience like to watch it when they play against each other?
Oh, it's incredible. It's the limits of the game, to be honest. They're breaking the limits of tennis. And, as you watch the generations of tennis, everybody in their generation, thinks, for me watching them, like, man, 30 years from now, you know how you watch tapes from like 40 years ago and it's like they not playing bad, but the level is definitely different. And I'm watching the matches and I'm like, I don't know how like 40 years from now, how the level can really exceed this. And I think that it's peak tennis, to be honest, and not just their matchups. I mean, I watched Novak play against Roger, Rafa, those two. It's just peak tennis. So I don't know. It's just like, it's crazy. It's a one in a generation type of thing. And Novak is a one in a generation type of player, and so is Carlos, and they're playing each other on two different spectrums. I don't know. I can talk about this all day, but it's really cool.
Okay. Brian.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. You mentioned before about sort of talking to the team when you're frustrated, the tactics aren't working, either against you or when it's happening to you. How much do you say, okay, I actually expect an answer if I'm yelling up to the coach, or I'm just really mad and I'm saying something? And when it's happening on the other side of the court, what do you think when you're watching other players do it? Like, are you thinking, I hope I'm not acting like that, or do I look like that too, or is it just natural?
Yeah, I think for me sometimes, like, it's just letting out frustration. Like, yesterday, or my days are confused. 2 days ago, I was like, man, what am I doing? And then they finally told me, maybe I should lob her a little bit more because she was coming in. And honestly, the lob is not something, I don't know. It's not something I practice. And it came out. Like, I always call my lob the shot that, it works in the matches, but I never make it in practice. But most of the time in the matches, I make it. So that's like my shot. Like, and I don't know, maybe it comes from doubles. But when those frustrations happen, it's just like built up tension. Sometimes it's not even directed at my team. My team knows that some of the things I say isn't directed at them. I don't say anything like terrible, don't get me wrong, but like, I'm like, the plan is not working, I'll say that. But also after, I'm a player and I have to figure it out for myself. Coaching wasn't allowed for a long time, so I shouldn't rely completely on them. And I think I trust my ability and able to adapt, and that's what I did.
Steph.
Stephen
With the New York Daily News. Jimmy Butler came to watch you today.
Oh, he was here?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out him.
You didn't see him?
No, well, I mean, I'm on the court, like.
Right courtside. Yeah.
Oh, no, man. I was looking at the ball.
You know, what's it like? I mean, he said on television, you know, he's a big fan of yours and obviously playing in Miami makes that connection. Has he given you any advice throughout your career? What's that connection been like?
Yeah, I mean, he's given me, like, you know, the generic, like, keep working hard, you know, everything. But him and my mom spoke for a long time, I think, like, 3 days ago or 4 days ago when he was here for the practices. And, yeah, I asked her what he said, obviously, because I want to know. And he was like, yeah, he can really see the joy in me again and playing and enjoying the competition, and that I should continue to do that. And then watching him, you know, I learned a lot watching him, you know, everybody counting him out. You know, he was... I don't think anybody in college, when he was playing college, would have thought he would have been the player that he is today, leading a franchise to the NBA Finals, and happy that he's leading it to my franchise that I support. But he has that mentality, really, of, you know, no matter what the odds are against him, he's going to give it his all. I mean, he pretty much helped the Heat. Without him, we wouldn't have been in the finals, and he did that during the COVID year and again. And I think he's just one of those athletes that the mentality makes his game even better. You know, you have people that are talented and don't have the mentality. I think he has the talent, and the mentality is just taking him even further. And that's something that I learned from. And honestly, that's part of the reason, like I would say, that switch that I had in the last couple of weeks. Because, I mean, people think some incredible thing happened, but realistically, between 2 weeks or between Wimbledon and the next tournament that I played, nothing could have really changed that much. It was really just a mental thing. And I think that's what I've learned from watching Jimmy compete over the years.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. Tamani, and then the young lady back there.
Tamani Cairo from The Guardian. There are some players who only think about themselves when they're on the court, and they think that if they play their best, then they can beat, you know, anyone. Whereas you talk a lot about your tactics and how they change based on opponents and surfaces. So I'm curious how your problem-solving abilities, how that they've kind of developed over your career, and just how you feel about, you know, that aspect of your game now.
Yeah, I think I've always done a good job of adapting to players and having a plan. I do think having now the team that I have, the plan is a little bit clearer. But I've done, you know, over the years a good job of that. Obviously, you know, maturity plays a part into it. The more matches you have, the more experience you have. And I think that was honestly, like, you know, today, I think, you know, Mirra, she's going to be a great player. And I think with the more matches she has, the more experience she has. And I really see myself in her. You know, these matches are tough. So I told her, like, she's playing good at the net, keep doing up. So I think for me, that adjustment just happened a lot with age and also with, you know, the new team and just hearing new things. So I don't know. I think today that just reminded me, I don't know, playing a younger person just reminded me how far I come, and I should be proud of myself. And, you know, that process is necessary, and those losses are necessary for growth.
Okay, last question.
Hi, Coco. Lola Fadula for the New York Times. This year marks the 3rd time that the U.S. Open is having its HBCU live celebration. What are your thoughts on this new tradition?
Yeah, it was really cool. I saw today. I didn't know they were having it today, like on this court or on my court, and it was really cool. I mean, my family pretty much grew up like in HBCUs. My cousins go to Bethune-Cookman. I've gone to the Classic. I haven't been able to go now because of my tennis, but when I was younger, I would go to the FAMU and Bethune Classic every single year. It was a family trip that we made. If I were to go to college, and I still want to, you know, at least online, you know, in person is not possible at this point, but I always said it had to be an HBCU, and I always said, you know, if tennis didn't take the route that it took, I would have 100% wanted to go to an HBCU. And I think, you know, those are the HBCUs are important, and having spaces where Black people can feel free to, you know, be creative and live their life is important. Having these spaces available are important. And I think, you know, if you look at the way that HBCUs started and the historical context behind it, it's pretty incredible how far that we've come and becoming, you know, one of the top institutions in the country. And I'm so happy that US Open is celebrating this. And there's a lot of tennis players that go to HBCUs and are playing tennis. A lot of my friends are playing for HBCUs. And I think it's really incredible that US Open is highlighting that. And they also do a couple other events. I know they have Pride Day coming up too. And I think that, you know, not all the tournaments do it, but I think for it being in New York City, it's really important because the crowd here, when I look into the crowd, And it's like no other tournament. It's very diverse. You see people of all shades watching tennis. And I think that if we highlight that, maybe one person can see themselves in that and hopefully be on this stage many years in the future. So I hope that they continue to have this celebration. And I'm really proud that I was able to play on it today.